Hi there. Welcome back to another episode of Republicans in the 39th Ward. My name is Amanda Biela. You might have known me. I ran for 15th District State Rep just this past fall. I'm a resident of Edgebrook in the 39th Ward. And I've been a lifelong Republican.
Well, that's good. I'm Dan Schmitt. Back in 2012, I was the Republican candidate for the 5th Congressional District. The 5th Congressional District runs from the lakefront, it runs almost to downtown, from Irving Park to downtown, then it works its way over through the northwest side. So it takes 41st Ward, 39th Ward, 45th Ward, 44th Ward. It takes all these wards in, 43rd Ward, and also goes out to the suburbs. So when I ran back in 2004, my main issue was because Obamacare got passed, I didn't think the government should be running health care. And the candidate I was running against, Mike Quigley, is so far to the left. He's way out there, way out there. So, you know, and I look around the people living, especially in this ward, the 39th Ward, it's a hard-working people. People that work, people that respect work, people that have careers, people that have trades, a lot of tradesmen, a lot of business owners. So the mix is, it's a great mix. I mean, if you want to talk about Western civilization and the end product of Western civilization and obeying the rules and going to school and doing well and going to work every day, getting up in the morning, going to work, that is the #1 job program, is get out of bed in the morning and go to work. And I think the people in this ward are those kind of people.
Well, I think it's the engine. I think people that live in our ward are definitely it's the engine that make this city work.
Right.
And city, state, you know, you have a lot, business owners, a lot of teachers, your police officers, firemen.
Right.
Industry. I mean, it's a diverse group, but it's the people that make the city.
Well, one thing I say, and the reason there are nice neighborhoods where people go out and cut their grass, trim their hedges, paint their front porch, is because not for themselves. It's love of their neighbors. And so I really think, and this people, when I ran, people say, well, what makes America so different or better or whatever?
Yeah.
And it isn't that we're better or Americans are smarter. It's that we have this feeling of love thy neighbor. I mean, this is, and we love our neighbors and we want our neighbors to feel good about their neighborhood. And if everything coordinates together and everybody works it, and even retired people feel comfortable, they don't run away to move to Florida or anything. They feel comfortable in the neighborhood because they know their neighbors. I mean, if you don't know, look at yourself in the mirror. If you don't know 10 neighbors, if you can't have a conversation, whether they're a different party or anything, if you can't have a conversation with 10 of your neighbors, you better look at yourself and figure out what's wrong with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I look at, we moved to Edgebrook, we specifically looked at the neighborhood, what's going on there, what's going on at the schools, what's going on, you know, civic organizations, what can our children, you know, what can they do there, you know, where can they thrive? And it's where you move to, you know. I mean, most of, I think, folks in the 39th Ward lived other places in the city before moving out here. I mean, we did. We lived all over the city, north side, south side, west side. And this is where we ended up with our family once we had our kids.
Right. And you want your kids to go outside and go to parks and be involved with whether it's Cub Scouts or Girl Scouts or
we're way into Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts.
The park district or
we're just
baseball, football, whatever.
All this, organizations, and it is, and the idea that it is a safe neighborhood. I mean, my kids do ride their bikes in the neighborhood, and I don't worry about them. Which is a great feeling. And well, so that's why I think this aldermanic race, we have a contested runoff for 39th Ward Alderman is so important because it is about the future of where this, the direction the ward is going in. Because we've had the same family, the Lorena family, in charge of the ward for now, it was like 53 years, I believe. So this is the first time we're going to see somebody outside that family be our alderman, which I think is a good thing. Yeah, so we have two choices. So we have Robert Murphy and Samantha Nugent. They were the two winners of the runoff where they had four candidates in the initial primary. And they're the two that came off the two top vote getters. What do you have to think about? What do you think about this, Dan?
Well, like you pointed out, which if you do the research, where is their money coming from?
Yes.
And where are they coming from?
Right.
So one thing about Murphy, which I have to congratulate him, he ran against Lorino the last time.
Yeah.
And he ran for Democratic committeeman.
Against Lorino's people.
And he won. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if we're going to get along with Democrats, here's a Democrat that is not as conservative as we would like.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he's willing to take on the power structure.
Well, and I like what I'd say about him is he was willing to take it on when it wasn't particularly a popular thing to do or a very easy thing to do.
Exactly.
I mean, at that point, Lorino had been in, I don't know, alderman for 20-some years.
Right.
And in a very powerful place. And he only lost, I want to say, 4 years ago by like, I don't know, 300-400 votes. It wasn't very much.
Right.
And he took it on, definitely when you have the power, the machine against you, and not only that, the money against you.
Right.
And I respect that completely.
Right.
My concerns about Nugent are precisely what you said. Where is her money coming from? I mean, it's funny. I mean, we get all these. This is one day of mailers that I got at my house. I got six mailers. It was like 5-1. Nugent was sending them out to Murphy. She's got a lot of money coming in. And I do feel like if you go to Sunshine, Illinois, the website, awesome website, just FYI out there, you can see where candidates' money is coming from.
Right. And
hers is coming from a lot of the same sources as Lorino. If you match up their donors, very similar to Lorino and D'Amico, who is Lorino's nephew, she is being funded by your typical Chicago machine.
Right.
She's got PAC money coming from Rom's PAC. One of her big individual donors was Robert Vanecco, who is Daley's nephew. He's the one that, lost our city $54 million in pension
money,
investments for our pensions.
Firemen and policemen.
Yeah, that's not good. But so these are people she's taking money from. That kind of, because I think she's playing herself off as I'm an independent candidate. I don't think that's quite the case, and I think that's not being upfront. I mean, I don't know. I'm not saying she should put in her flyers, I'm a machine candidate. But I think people are going, oh, she's new and she's independent. I don't think that is the case. Right. And so that kind of, I'd rather go with somebody who's independent, even if I don't agree with them in all positions.
Right. Well, I think, and we should mention, we did send a questionnaire to all 4 candidates prior, and Robert Murphy was the only one that answered our questionnaire. And he did hit on one thing and really talked up, which I believe, industry, I mean, there are little industrial areas still in the 39th Ward. We can't be turning where industry was into retail.
Yeah.
I mean, my big look at the city of Chicago is we see more residential, factories being turned into residential, old plants, downtown, everything's turned into residential. The math does not work.
Right.
Because you figure the average family, I don't care, even if they're in an apartment and they're paying, these big apartment buildings, and that's the other thing we got to know, and I don't think I've heard an answer out of either candidate on where they stand on housing coming in, because I know in the next ward over in 45, there's a lot of problems with, they're putting these big residential buildings in 5-story buildings that should not be, Now we have a couple of them in the 39th, but as the dollars don't work out, if you're going to have more residents and less industry, if the land is used for more, the math doesn't work. Taxes are going to have to go up because everybody wants, people move in.
Base,
They want education, they want police protection, You go right down the line where there just isn't enough money.
Right.
So he at least. Robert Murphy at least mentioned and answered us that there are industrial areas and we got to develop them. We got to go find companies to come in and build new factories. There is nothing wrong with, assembly of manufacturing. Manufacturing is the key of America's wealth.
Yeah. And I'd also say things that between the 2 candidates, I kind of look at Murphy as the outsider, and he is quite progressive on issues as a Republican. I might go, I'm not really in favor of progressive income tax.
Right.
But I feel like he stated a lot of his positions.
Right.
And and also, when you have somebody that's not tied to this bigger machine that is well-funded, it's much harder to remove somebody if they get into a position as alderman, if they are tied to these interests.
Right.
Because if you look at like 45, where Arena was the alderman, people didn't like what he was doing.
Right.
And they voted him out, which,
right.
wow, that was pretty shockingly lost.
Right,
I mean,
right.
Not even in a runoff. So, I mean, I feel like the things that, if we end up not liking what Murphy's doing, it might be, I don't want to say easier to get rid of him. I mean, but I hope he'd do a good job. But, that the machine is not there.
Right.
And I think I really am resistant to getting another machine candidate in there. And I feel like that's what Nugent would be.
Right.
And a lot of the issues, her and Nugent and Murphy are very similar. So as a Republican, I'm kind of going, I don't know if I like either of their positions, but who would I feel more comfortable with in there? And I do feel Murphy has been up front, and he fought the fight when it was time, when it wasn't particularly a popular thing to do.
We, as Republicans, may have a little more influence
right.
with Robert Murphy. He may be more open
right.
to listening.
I think that is true.
To our point of view.
I think with Murphy, I think there's more of a chance to have a seat at the table.
Right.
Nugent, I mean, let's be honest. Was there any, when you look at the Lorena machine, there wasn't room for, if you disagree with them, you're not going to have a voice ever.
Right,
it just wasn't going to happen.
Right.
So, yeah, I think you're right about that. I think he's much more, just even as committeeman, he's been more open than in the past with Lorena. I mean, heck, Lorena's husband was the committeeman for years.
Right,
I mean, that's what you get when you get the machine.
Right.
So, I mean, I respect that.
Right. So it's
yeah.
So I think that's where we're going to agree. We're going to when we're going to pull the lever for Murphy.
I think so. I mean, I think it's better for our ward just to have a fresh start, an independent voice. Even if I may not agree with it on all issues.
Right.
And you know what? That's why we come back in 4 years and maybe we vote. Find another candidate. But if he's doing good job, hey.
Well, if he wins, I've got a plan to maybe pay off the pensions in Chicago, and I will bring it to Robert Murphy.
That sounds good. Because we need a plan, that's for sure.
Okay. So let's talk about, should we move on to the mayor's race? Okay.
Surprising, I'll be honest. I was not expecting Lori Lightfoot to be in the top two. I mean, I know she had been coming on late in the election, but I was still, that she won,
Well, I take a little credit, because you see who finished third.
Yes.
It was Daley.
Right.
And I came up with that video where I told the public that Daley is a thief. Between him and his brother, they robbed us. Yeah. They robbed the people in Chicago of the parking meters.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely feel he was the man behind that whole deal, that billion-dollar deal, the 75-year contract, and the city of Chicago could have done it on their own.
Right.
And they'd have the revenue coming in. We'd have a little more control over it.
Right.
We don't have an outside, non-representative company. So he did not deserve.
And that's what you get with the machine. It comes back to these same people, these same families.
Right.
And
well, if you look at all the investors, if you look at the people involved with the parking meter, it was your Madigan people and that were involved with the parking. Yes.
Which, going to mayor, that's why, look at Preckwinkle versus Lightfoot. I'm leaning toward Lightfoot. I'm going to vote for Lightfoot. I'll just say that there.
Well, it's the devil you know
versus what you don't know. But I mean, I look at Preckwinkle. She is part of that machine also. I mean, here she is like, hey, Ed Burke's son, you want a job here? Cushy job for, $100,000. $120,000.
Well, sure. And she's the one that pushed the soda
the soda tax. I was driving to Indiana to get my Pepsi.
Right. No, but I mean, just the little things. So even the lower income people, they were hit the hardest.
Tax. Absolutely.
They were hit the hardest, and it becomes the part of government telling you how to run your life.
Yeah. I mean, I think as conservatives, that's one of our things that we believe in most. We can control our lives best. I don't need the government to do that.
Right.
And I don't need them to tell me not to drink sugar or that's not.
Well, it's almost like this whole Bloomberg thing that you heard about in New York, where no more big gulps.
And then what people do is they started buying 2 and 3.
and no more salt. I mean, he was. And he was calling himself a Republican. He's so far from being a Republican, yet a comedy.
But the thing is, it's very hypocritical too. She can say all these things, oh, it's for our health, but it was only just to get the tax revenue.
Right.
That's what it was. It was about the money, and
it's better to be honest.
Be honest about it. Say we need to raise the money. You know.
Right.
So I don't like Preckwinkle at all. I mean, Lightfoot. Once again, in some ways, I think you can make that tie to Murphy, in that she's independent. She doesn't have those same ties. And I think also, she's progressive, but, crazy things I think will be less likely to get through when you're not in a machine,
Right.
She doesn't necessarily have
maybe
that.
Because she's an outsider, that she'll have to fight with the city council, which is what we want.
Which we want,
I think sometimes when the name slipped when he was mayor,
Harold Washington?
Washington.
Yeah.
When he was mayor, and Eddie Vidoliak standing up, but it was the closest. I mean, they said it was a racist thing, but it was the closest to some kind of democracy. It's almost like you want that give and take. You want the alderman to be battling with the mayor. You don't want a
rubber stamp. You don't want to go in there.
Yes.
The city council, and actually, go back to automatic race. Murphy did say that in the last debate, that the city council should have more power. They should be checking the mayor.
Yes.
And I don't think we've seen that recently.
No, we haven't seen that in 50 years.
Right. And
since Washington.
Our founding fathers made Congress to be that way. It's not supposed to, it's not supposed to be fast. Change is not supposed to be fast. It's supposed to be slow. It's supposed to be deliberate.
Right.
So we can make things that are successful.
Well, I would love to see debate again.
Yes.
In the council.
Yeah, not just, we have to push this through, it's emergent,
Right.
So I definitely push him more to Lightfoot. And I don't know, Preckwinkle, I think she's machine. I think she's shady in a lot of things. And, when you lie down with dogs,
Well, then we should come up with what is current.
Right.
And it's the people of Chicago have been, and I'm going to coin this word, I already coined it once, we have been Smolletted.
Are you going to trademark that?
I should trademark it. And that's going to replace BS.
Yeah, Schmolletted.
Right. Meaning that you've been conned and you went along with it. And Pep Winkle, for being that high in the county board, and then you got Fox.
Yes, Kim Fox.
And now you're finding out how...
So we're talking about Jussie Smollett, the actor, with his faked...
right, and we're...
hate crime attack.
Exactly. And when you look at the murder rate in Chicago, that's the other thing nobody talked about in any of the debates. I think this is a real critical thing. And I firmly believe the way to take care of the murder rate is you got to get the people in those neighborhoods more involved.
Right.
There should be a tip line. You should hit up on these millionaires and billionaires.
Right.
And we should have a tip line where you start paying people and set up a secret tip line where people can call in so we can start giving license plate numbers or partial plate numbers and pay people.
Right.
We need to put murderers away. And this Fox is our state's attorney.
Yeah.
If she's letting this guy off with less than a slap...
Yeah, I mean, because then it's basically saying to anybody else who's arrested for a non-violent crime, you can kind of say,
when you find out half the people get arrested having guns in possession are I bonded out.
Right.
Nobody goes to jail.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, how many illegal aliens are sitting in Cook County that we're feeding every day because they don't get turned over to ICE and don't get thrown back in their old country.
Yeah, I mean, I think crime is one of our biggest issues in the city, and I think it doesn't set a good example when you have somebody like Jussie Smollett. He creates this elaborate hoax and has our police force for weeks. Let's be honest, chasing criminals that don't exist.
Right.
And we have people that are being murdered throughout the city.
Right.
Crimes being committed. We have real residents, real citizens that have been victims of real crimes. And that takes...
And the whole neighborhood suffers.
Right, absolutely.
I mean, if you're going to a wake every month because of some young person...
Right. And how many of those people got a fraction of the attention that he did?
Right.
And I understand why the police did put the attention on it, because if they didn't, they'd be called out, you're not taking it seriously, whatever.
Right.
But this guy, he perpetrated an elaborate hoax to maligns our city.
And for being an actor, he doesn't even know which way the camera is aimed.
I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Right.
And to, you know, it might be one thing if you say, okay, we're not going to give a, you know, we're going to take a deal. He's not going to get time because it's a nonviolent crime. Okay. But the fact that he did not have to submit his guilt, he was able to not have to.
He's still saying it happened.
Yeah, and he's saying, "Oh, it didn't happen. I'm innocent."
No, I'm innocent.
Wait a second.
You are not innocent.
You know, so he just forfeited his bond and you know put in 2 days at Rainbow Push, working in the gift shop or something. And I think people across the board, political positions, you know, are upset by this. You know, Chicagoans are upset. And
right.
That it sets a bad taste in everybody's mouth.
Right.
I don't know.
So we're gonna throw our support behind Lightfoot.
Yeah, I'm for that. I mean, I think it just goes back to like Murphy and Lightfoot. At least it's a break from that machine. And as Republicans, I think that's in our best interest is to break down the machine because it's just that control. It's just tied to Madigan, and that's the state. You know, I'd love to see people within their own party take down Madigan too. You know, because it's just not good for Illinois. We don't win when we have a machine.
Right.
The powerful within their party, the insiders, those people win with a machine. But, you know, everyday citizens, regardless if you're a Republican or Democrat, you don't win. Yeah.
Okay, so you want to give your email?
Sure.
You want people to be able to send you comments?
Yeah, you can email me. Now I'm trying to remember what is my email because I just got a new email address. You know, let's go. You can send me at amandabiela15@yahoo.com.
Okay.
That's the one I use for campaign. I still answer it.
Okay. And mine is teamdan45@gmail.com. And you can look on YouTube for other clips that I put up there because I have really worked hard since my campaign to educate the people in the country, in Chicago, as far as what I think are very important issues. I mean, whether it's simple stuff that you should be learning in school, like how does business work, or is profits good, or what is the right, what is the left. So if you got the time, you can go on YouTube, put my name, Dan Schmitt, 2 T's, remember the double T, and just put Dan Schmitt Politics, and you'll see a whole... And
I do have a website, amandabiela.com, and also Facebook. I do a lot of posting on Facebook, and that's just, if you search Amanda Biela.
You're going to have to show me how to work Facebook. I have a Facebook page. I post stuff. I don't even know how to answer anybody.
But yeah, if you just search my name on Facebook, it'll come up. Like Citizens for Amanda Biela.
Okay.
That'll come up.
Great. Thank you for talking to me about this very important subject.
This coming Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, election.
That's right.
Get out there and vote.